welcome to episode 2 of Knitting Out Loud. My name is Emily and I'm excited to show you everything that I have been working on since the last episode. I have just warmed up my coffee for the second time because I keep forgetting it in the microwave. And I have one finished object, a couple updates on my WIPs, and one new project to share today. I think that's it. So it should be a much shorter episode than episode 1, where I went through everything that I have made so far this year. I have been doing a lot of knitting, so let's get into it. I'm wearing the Scotchbroom tee by Wool and Pine. This was actually the first garment that I ever made for myself, and I highly recommend their patterns. They were so clearly written. There were video tutorials for all of the techniques that I hadn't done before, like this broomstick stitch, I think is what it's called. It was very easy to follow. It really broke it down and made it feel much less intimidating than what I had built it up to be in my head. And hopefully spring is here and the weather's gonna start warming up, although it is like just the most dreary, rainy, wet, cold day here in Seattle. So first up, I have one finished object, which is my Stardew Valley socks. In episode 1, I was so close to having the second sock done, so I think that I finished it that same evening. But these have been blocked and they are done now, and I am really happy with them. I've dabbled in color work, but nothing even close to this. So I'm just really pleased with how these turned out. They are not perfect by any means, but they turned out okay. I mean, I think they look pretty okay. Just don't look too close. I started these February 27th and I finished them March 11th. This is a pattern by Oakwood Knits, and I got it as a kit from Knit Picks. And when I purchased this, now granted, I have had this yarn in my stash for 2 years. I got it in February of 2024, so just over 2 years. But whenever I got it, there was a stroll kit with the pattern. These are the spring. So this is spring, the valley comes alive. There's a pattern for each season, but I only got the spring ones. I posted these on Instagram after I finished them and got a few questions about which colors that I used. So I do have them all listed on the Ravelry page, which I will link in the show description. But I thought that I could just go through them as well. Starting from the top here, this is navy. This brighter blue that's the sky is Rhapsody. The clouds are white. This lighter blue is Wonderland Heather, going into Patina. And then the lighter of the two true greens is Peapod. This darker green that's in the heel and toe is Grass. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at my notes here because I forget to use pinks. Okay, the lighter pink is Dogwood Heather. And then the purple is Paisley Heather. The light brown here, that's all the fence throughout the sock, is Cork. And this darker red is called Hollyberry. The lighter red is Poppy. And the yellow here and down here is Dandelion. The darker, more golden color is Goldenrod Heather. And I think that that's it. Yes, that's it, because then you just repeat the blues from up above down in these flowers and then the reds again. So those are all the colors listed in order. And I'm so happy to have these done. So that's my only finished object. What do I want to talk about next? Let's do bookmarks. Those will be quick and easy. Okay, so I am making 18 bookmarks for my daughter's first grade class. I'm going to her class to be their mystery reader almost exactly 1 month from today, I think. I went through my scraps and I just pulled out colors that were bright for kids and that were somewhere between 4 and 5 grams because they don't take much. Last time I had 12 finished, so I have finished 4 more, and I have the last 2 on the needles. So most of these, oh boy, let's see if I can find. This one is a new one, and where did that other one just go? I just had it. Did I already put it down somewhere? Here it is. I did the tassels a little bit different. And I'm just tossing them into this Writer's Quadrant bag from Out of Print. If this is not a knitting bag, I think it's for stationery. But it works great for these. I'm tossing them in there as they are done. So I finished 1 purple one. Hopefully my camera is going to focus. I can't tell. It's very curled in on itself. None of these have been blocked yet, but whenever I made these last year as well, and when I blocked and pinned them, it worked wonders and they laid flat just fine. I'm considering starching these this time. I might test it with 1 and see how stiff it goes, but I kind of like the soft feel of the bookmark. And then this is the second one that I made. And then did I say the pattern name? I don't think I did. The pattern for these is the With Love bookmark. It's a free Ravelry pattern. And the only adjustment that I made for the most part is how I start and end each row. So I put notes for what I'm doing there in my Ravelry project page. And then for these last 2, potentially 4, I decided to do them all garter. And these really do lay flat all on their own. They probably don't even need blocked. I love the look of the other ones, but I was kind of tired of making bookmarks and thinking that I could hurry through the last 4. But I actually think it backfired a little bit because I think that my gauge is just different in garter stitch versus stockinette, and so I felt like I had to knit so many more rows to get the same length. Yeah, but I did these 2. I thought these were 2 bright colors in garter stitch, so that is outside of what the pattern says, but it's same stitch counts, same. I did the decreases the same, all that good stuff. And then I have the last 2, barely just started. I haven't decided if I'm going to do them in garter or just the same. I'm thinking I'll do them in garter just so there are more than only 2. But this is in the Grass and Rhapsody from Knit Picks. Next up to share is my Traveler Hoodie by Andrea Mowry. I have this in a redesigned bucket. I really love this. It has these like 4 little compartments. Hopefully that's focusing, although I highly doubt it. We shall see. And I have all of my yarn in it, and I'm almost through my 2nd skein, I believe, so I'll have some room to actually put the sweater down inside and can use the lid. So last time, I think that this had just gotten on the needles. I was on like the 2nd or 3rd row of ribbing. But I have made quite a bit of progress since you've seen this, since it was barely started last time. I got through all of the in the round body knitting, and then on the front, I am almost to the shaping. The yarn for this is Purl Soho Daily Wool Sport in Guinea Hen. Looks like. And I really like this yarn. I'm not in love with it for this pattern. I feel like it's such a busy yarn that the texture of the pattern is lost. So it's a lot of purl rows to not really be able to see the texture on the pattern. I feel like this yarn would be better suited for something in stockinette or just a little more plain. We'll see. I still think it looks great. and I'm gonna enjoy it. I have been wanting to make this for so long, and I had a really hard time committing to yarn because every time that I would find something, I would either get hung up on the price point, or actually more of what would happen is the price point of the yarn would make me get hung up on the color choice. And I just kept bumping into that wall over and over and over again for too long. So I'm glad that I went for it and I'm making it. And so that's really a win for me. I'm out of decision paralysis and I'm into the making. Now I think all I have left is my new project. I'm sure if you have been knitting for any length of time, you have seen or heard or maybe even made a temperature blanket. And if not, you assign each temperature range a color, and then you can do it a couple different ways, but you're basically tracking the temperature either at a certain time of day, or you can do the high-low for the day in your area and add that to your blanket every day. And then at the end of the year, you have a blanket representing the weather patterns in your area. I felt like if I started doing that, that I would just fall off and lose interest immediately and then not do anything with it. Long story short, all that to say, I'm not making a temperature blanket. But what it is to say is I was kind of just getting the wheels turning about how I'm a multi-hobbyist. There are about 3 that I can manage at a time before one falls off. So I'm always looking for ways to incorporate my hobbies with each other. Another one of my passions right now is running. And I started running in summer of 2024. And it started off like, I actually started off with a walking pad under my standing desk. And then I decided that by the end of that year, by the end of 2024, I wanted to run a 10K. So on New Year's Eve, I got up in the morning and it wasn't a race. I just, was racing myself, and I ran a 10K, and I just haven't really ever looked back. I have really fallen in love with it. I love to hate it. I love to do it. I love to be bad at it. And I spend a lot of time that I'm not working or knitting or with my family running. And now I'm training for my second half marathon, and my big goal running wise for this year is to run 1,000 miles. So that's pretty lofty. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit it, but I'm on my way. So in the spirit of a temperature blanket, I'm making a mileage blanket for 2026. Had a ton of Knit Picks Swish DK yarn, not in my main yarn cave, which is why I'd forgotten about it, and it wasn't on my stash tracker, but in my garage freezer, which is where yarn sort of comes into this ecosystem of my house and then gets moved into the main yarn closet. But it has just been there for something weird happened. So that yarn has just been sitting there forgotten about. Something's wrong. Okay, I think that I fixed it. Is my phone completely crooked? I think it's okay. We're just gonna go with it. I pulled that yarn out and went through it all, and in an ideal scenario, I would have a more cohesive or complementary color palette. And I had thought about doing that. I had gone through what I had and picked out colors that I thought worked really well together, and I had a cart ready on Knit Picks to kind of fill out the palette. But then I was like, I'm just buying more yarn, and I really don't want to do that for this project. If I'm going to spend money on yarn, I want it to be for a garment or for something else, not this. At least for this year. For next year, we can see if I like doing this. So I committed that I was just going to use this yarn. The challenge that created was some of it I only had 1 ball of each color, and those are 50-gram skeins from Knit Picks. They're small. So I had to get my spreadsheet hat on, and I organized the yarn, wrote down all the colors that I had, how much of each that I had, and then I went through and I tracked all my mileage that I've run so far this year so that I could use that to somewhat, maybe accurately, maybe not, time will tell, predict which colors were going to get the most use. For now, I'm just doing 1 through 15. So let's say I run 4 miles. Mile number 4 will be a particular color, and then I will add 2 rows to my blanket in that color. I'm just doing garter stitch. I'm not following any particular pattern, but I'm just doing 2 rows of garter stitch, so 1 garter ridge per run. And each mile, 1 through 15, is assigned a different color. So it does look a little bit like a rainbow got car sick, but I'm really excited about it. And I have some catching up to do because it is almost the end of March, but I would have been able to get January already added. So I'm keeping it in this giant bag that I got from Flock 2024. It was part of their merch, and it makes a great blanket bag. I have all of the yarn tucked in here. And here is what I've got so far. Hopefully, I did go through Ravelry and look at some temperature blanket options. There were a couple patterns that I was considering, but I just wanted to get this on the needles and get it going. And I think the simplest will be good. So I found, I remembered that Kayla from Crazy Sock Lady made a temperature blanket a few years ago now, I think. And so I found her project page, and she just added a monthly transition of eyelet, like an eyelet row. I did add the eyelet transition row that she used, but I believe that I cast on 180 or 190 stitches. I was going to do 200, and then it was the second time I tried casting on and I ran out of yarn again, so I thought I backed a couple off and ended on an even number, and that was good enough for me. So this is all of January added in, and I'm just starting February, and January had a lot of individual shorter runs. So I don't think it's going to take me that long to catch up. I did all of this basically in one day. I was so excited to get it going. I was feeling so motivated, and I could not put it down. So I'm excited to get this caught up. I think I'm going to focus on it during the weekends, probably. I take a longer run on Saturday, and then I'm basically hanging out on the couch the rest of Saturday afternoon after that. So it'll be the perfect time to get caught up on this, and then I think it's going to be super motivating after I finish a run to just add that strip. It's going to be just enough knitting, and it's plain knitting, to keep me excited. I'm weaving in the ends as I go. I just need to go back and trim these up, and then I got some liquid stitch to see if that'll help tack it down on the back end so that I don't have like the fraying, but I'm not quite sure when or how or where to do that. If I should do it as I'm weaving that in, like as I'm knitting it in, and then just not put it in the bag right away so that it can dry. I'm not sure. So if you have any tips on liquid stitch, please let me know. I have not used it before. That's my mileage blanket. Eee! Hopefully I have a lot more done on my traveler the next time I've seen you, and I will probably have cast on another blanket, which will be the Baby's Favorite Blanket by Purl Soho. So that's all that I have today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.